Okay, I'm live. Hello, hello. I'm doing this a little differently today, so hopefully I can still see everybody's comments, although I don't know if I can. Um, but welcome to another Friday energy forecast. Okay, so today we're talking about some of my favorite topics, trauma, money, and ascension. And I'm going to break down for you today how the three of these are related and also like why it's important or why you need to know this. So I just have to share, I am coming off of a very powerful experience that I had yesterday. Yesterday, I recorded a podcast episode with this very powerful woman. Her name's Debbie Solaris. And if you don't know her, I highly recommend looking her up. She actually was interviewed on a couple different shows on Gaia. Um, and she basically had an abduction experience. And after that, she had all of these amazing gifts that were activated within her. And the most prominent one being that she now is what she calls a galactic historian, and she's able to read the galactic Akashic records. So she's able to see in people like their whole galactic history, like where their soul originated, and then what, this is mostly for like star seeds and all of us who have different galactic origins. She's able to see exactly like where your soul originated from the time that it like separated from source, and then all of the different galactic origins you have, and then additionally like what is the most prominent lineage that you have, that is important for you to know about in this lifetime as it relates to your mission on this planet. So I interviewed her on the podcast. It was so unbelievably amazing. I was kind of like holding back tears the whole time because I've been a big fan of her work for a while. And then in the end of the episode, she did like a mini reading for me, and some of the information she told me was like so insanely validating and like spot on as far as like what I have felt about myself and what I knew to be true about myself. That it really, I'm still kind of like reeling from this conversation, and just from being in her energy, because it really shifted my own energy and my own perspective and really validated a lot of the information that I've been receiving about myself and other people. So I'm really excited for everyone to listen to this episode. It's probably going to be out in a few weeks. But anyway, she, was strongly validating what I've always known to be true about myself, about this Pleiadian lineage that I have. And a lot of you have heard me share the story that when I was 19 years old, a channeled book from the Pleiadians somehow ended up in my apartment when I was in college. And ever since that time, I knew that I was them and they were me. And I knew that I had a very strong connection to this lineage and this energy. So what she told me was incredibly validating. She said that I have this very strong lineage of this specific place in the Pleiadian star system called Myropia, I think it was called. And she said that I have this very strong lineage of these Meropian high priestesses who were very powerful healers. And they were very focused on like figuring out what the wounding is and then healing it through like their magic, which is like exactly what I do. So this was like incredibly crazy and validating for me. So I just had to share that because I'm still kind of like processing that information and integrating all of it. And I didn't know if I was going to share this or not, but I actually got the download for a new like mini course that I'm going to share. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm going to probably announce it in the next few days. But I feel like through that experience, I got activated with just more of this knowledge and understanding of my lineage and what I meant to share. And now I have just gotten this download for this new program that I'm going to be offering that I think a lot of people are going to do, because it's not going to be a very intensive thing. It's going to be a shorter thing at a lower price point, and it's going to be focused a lot on the energetics of what I do. So I'm just going to leave that there. You'll definitely find out more information about that soon, probably within the next few days. So welcome everyone. I am, oh wait, comments. Okay. Hi, I can't, so I'm using StreamYard. So I can't see who everybody is. So please say hi and please tell me who you are, because I can't see when I'm using StreamYard. Okay, so and please say hi if you're watching. So today I'm talking about trauma, money, and ascension. And the way I'm gonna break this down for you guys today is I'm going to talk about the relationship between each of these things with each other. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the relationship between trauma and money, which I'm sure a lot of people already know. Hi, Dahlia. Which I'm sure a lot of people already know, but I think this is so important, you guys, because a lot of times when we are coming up against trauma, we don't know. We don't realize it, even if we're well versed in this, right? I came up against trauma last week, and it took somebody else pointing it out to me for me to realize, and I consider myself an expert in this field. So it's not always easy, and it takes some a deep level of awareness and also support a lot of times to see what you're coming up against, right? So a lot of times when we are wanting to make more money, we think that it's just about the money, and we think that it's just about, whatever it is, receiving or getting comfortable holding more, or getting comfortable bringing more people into your world, whatever it is. and it might be all of those things, right? But usually there is an energetic component related to trauma underneath of all of that. And once we can get to that, all of that stuff shifts, right? So using all of these tools to expand your wealth consciousness and attract more money, those are all really, really helpful. And I always say, do all of those things. Excuse me. I have a little bit of a tickle in my throat, so I might need to drink water during this. But the key here is that we want to get underneath of what you're really coming up against, because this is what I see for everybody, right? There's always a wound. There's always a trauma. There's always something underneath of the surface that you are not seeing that you are coming up against. And that's true in every single case, because if it wasn't, you would have it already. You would have the thing already. Okay, so when it comes to and money, I know this is an annoying phrase, but it's true. Money really is just energy, right? And that tickle may be your fault. So what we're really doing when we're calling in more money and we're holding more money is we're opening ourselves up to hold more energy and to access more of what life has to offer. And if we have trauma, we can't do that. So essentially what we're doing when we're wanting to create more and it's not coming in, what we're coming up against is a wound, a trauma, or a belief that we hold about why we can't have that, or why we're afraid to open up to that. Okay, because a lot of times we've been wounded in the past. A lot of times we don't even remember what it was or what happened, or we do and we don't want to deal with it. It's one of the two, right? Or it can be a more subtle thing where we witnessed something slowly over time that slowly impacted our consciousness to the point where then we slowly shut ourselves down. And in order to open ourselves back up, we need to understand why we shut ourselves down and what happened. And most of the time, it's very hard to figure that out on your own because you don't know that it's there. That's why we call this shadow work, because you're in the dark. It's in the dark, right? You don't know what it is. That's why you need somebody else to help you, to help see it, right? Because if it's in the subconscious, you aren't aware of it. You don't know what it is. Okay. Excuse me one sec. Okay. So that's why they're related, because in order to feel comfortable opening up to more, you have to clear trauma, and it will come up at every level. And I always tell people this, the reason why I grew my business so fast and I made a lot of money really quickly is because I figured out how to move through my trauma. And I'm a glutton for punishment, and I just kept going and going and going no matter how uncomfortable it was, right? But you have to have that awareness that if something's not coming in, it's not that it's not going to happen. It's not that you can't do it. It's not that it's never going to happen for you and you're not meant to do this. It's just that you're coming up against something that you're not sure what it is and you don't know how to move through it. And it's a trauma. And you need to get support around it. That's it. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Okay, so that's how those two things are related. We can't call in more unless we clear the trauma that's blocking more from coming in, right? Because even if you've had some growth, right, and we've all had a ton of growth, we still get to a comfort level within that growth where then to expand out of that comfort level feels scary because our brain, who is still remembering that it was traumatized at some point, is saying, no, don't go past that point. It's something bad is going to happen. It's trying to prevent you from experiencing that trauma again, right? So it's not going to feel comfortable for you to go past that. And then when you try to go past it, you're going to come up against whatever is standing between you and that thing, right? Whether it's an old wound, whether it's an old belief, and a lot of times it might be something you've experienced before, like you've come up against before and you've healed before, but now you're being invited to heal it on a deeper level. Okay. So this is what happens. And this is why everyone that heals trauma starts to make more money, right? It just happens. It's not even like you have to like call in the money or say, it's great to do that. And it's great to have intentions around money. I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I'll be like very clear, like, okay, this is what I want to make. Like in February, I knew I had the goal of reaching that 50K month, and I knew that I was going to do it that month. I could just feel it. And then in other months, I don't always have a goal. I'm just kind of like continuing to do the work and continuing to come up against the blocks and move through them. And then I automatically just shift. So you can do it either way. It depends on how things work for you and what you feel comfortable with. But always when you continue to move through and clear the trauma, you always will make more money. So that's how those two things are related. Okay. And now I'm going to talk about ascension and trauma and how those two things are related. So ascension, I feel like I haven't talked about this in a while, but ascension is really just growth. It's really just raising our consciousness, which we all came here to do. If you are watching this video and you are at all interested in me, you are probably interested in raising your consciousness and going through an evolution, right? And if you are interested in me and if you are watching this video, you most likely came to this planet so that you could assist with the evolution of humanity. And right now you're waking up to that and realizing that you have a much greater purpose here, that you came here to assist with this, and you are wanting to wake up to your gifts and activate them so that you can fulfill that mission that you came here to do, right? So ascension is essentially raising our consciousness, expanding our perspective, and stepping into the version of you that you came here to be, this higher version of yourself, your highest timeline, right? This part of you that is not just a human being on this planet, that is a star seed, a soul that has different galactic origins and other gifts and abilities that are beyond just this realm, right? That are beyond just being human on planet Earth. It's much bigger than that. So Ascension is having this realization and understanding that you are that you're much, much more than just, Alyse Bacine who lives in Philadelphia on planet Earth. You're much, much more than that, right? And I think for me, why I shared about the reading I had yesterday is because it was such a validation of these feelings that I had. Like I knew that I had this lineage and I knew that I came here to do this incredible work. But to hear somebody else say it back to you, because we're living in this 3D reality where, the status quo or the programming or the brainwashing that we get here will tell you that that's completely crazy, right? But we all know that it's not. So anyway, so how is trauma related to ascension? Well, the process of ascension requires you to heal your trauma. It's not really a question. One can't go without the other. That's why I always say, there's two ways that I approach my work. One is the avenue of activating your gifts and abilities, and starting to work with your own energy. And the other one is the avenue of healing your trauma, but they both end in the same place. Because when you heal your trauma, all of a sudden your gifts and abilities come online and you have a huge amount of clarity as to what you're supposed to be doing and why you're here. And then if you come at it from the other way, if you're coming at it through, let me learn how to work with my own energy and activate my gifts and activate my ascension, well, you can't do that unless you heal your trauma. And you start going down that path, and whatever needs to be healed will be revealed to you. It's simple. It can't happen any other way. So these two are incredibly intricately and intimately related because you can't have one without the other. There's no way that you can raise your consciousness and raise your frequency if you don't deal with and heal your trauma. The two things are at completely different energetic frequencies. So if you're holding trauma in your body, if you're holding energy in your body that's vibrating at a lower frequency, and you also are not aware of it, you're only going to be able to go so far. And then when you want to go further, the universe is going to show you, well, here's what you need to deal with in order to go further. And it's going to look like a block. It's going to look like you're coming up against something that you can't move through, but really you're just being shown what you need to heal. Right? And I say this all the time, but this is how it works. Okay, so that's trauma and ascension. Hold on one sec. And now I'm going to talk about something I don't talk about as often, which is how money is related to ascension. And when I tune into the energy of this, the guides show me this. They show me a lot of times when I'm in people's Akashic records, they'll show me words flashing, almost like the Broadway flashing lights. And they show me the word freedom in flashing lights, right? So essentially, to a lot of us, money is freedom, and not only freedom to do what we want, but energetic freedom, right? So when we are moving into the process of ascension and raising our consciousness and essentially creating our own reality, mastering the frequency and energetics of money is part of that, because in this 3D reality, in order to navigate it, you need money, right? You need to be able to use the energy and frequency of money to navigate through this reality and create what you want, to resource yourself. It's a resource. It's an energetic resource. And in order to master the process of ascension, you need to master the process of working with energy. And money is energy. And it's part of mastering how to work with your own energy, is mastering the energetics and frequency of money and being able to attract it when you need it. And then also being able to hold it and feel comfortable holding it, right? And when you raise your consciousness and you start to understand how to work with energy, this is just a natural part of one of those energetics that you end up mastering. Because again, money is just about holding more energy and opening yourself up to experience more aliveness, more abundance, and more of the bounty that the universe has to offer. So these things are all very intimately related, but the key in all of it is we cannot create any of this stuff without moving through the trauma. It just can't happen, because if we're still holding trauma unacknowledged in our body, we're going to keep creating the same loops. We're going to keep creating the same patterns over and over again. And we're going to keep relating to the world in the same way. So we're going to keep having the same result in our outer world. Okay, so let me know if this is making sense. But the trauma piece is key, and this is why I continue to focus on this, because my guides continue to show me that healing trauma is how we change the world. Because what we're essentially doing, I mean, amongst other things that are going on in this 3D reality, you know, it is a matrix, and it is controlled, and there is all this programming, and there's all this crazy shit going on. But on some level, we're all very traumatized. You know, the other thing I wanted to mention too, as an aside, is I had this awareness the other day about the trauma that we've all endured over the last 2 years. You know, we've all been incredibly traumatized by what has happened. And I was aware that people are going to start healing from this trauma. My ear just started ringing. That people are actually going to need to start healing from and acknowledging the trauma that we've endured over the last 2 years, because we've been traumatized. And that's a whole other topic, but I started to feel it within my own body the other day. My own trauma around it, and that I was starting to process it in a new way, because it feels like things have started to lift just energetically. And people are kind of like coming out of it in a sense. And, you know, we've been traumatized as a people for a very long time in many different ways, right? But what happens is when we don't heal trauma, we just recreate it. So on some level, that is what is occurring on the planet, is that trauma is going very much unacknowledged, and people are just recreating it over and over and over again. So really the only way to shift and change that on an individual level, but also on like a deeper, higher energetic level, is by acknowledging and clearing the trauma within ourselves. So that is my TED talk about that. But the key is just moving through and healing your trauma, and also just acknowledging that it's there. Because I think a lot of times that is the missing piece for people. For example, in business, right? If you are only getting to a certain level, right? Let's say you've gotten to 10K months in business. And this is just an example. You don't have to have a business. This could be with anything. I'm just using this as an example, because money is always a really quantifiable way to to see things. So say you're getting to 10K months, right? And you've gotten there, and that's amazing. That's a good amount of money, right? That's really good. And you've gotten there, but you're like, you know what? I just can't get any higher than that. I just can't go past that. I don't know what it is. I'm doing all of the things, you know, I'm like, I'm doing my money mindset stuff. I'm putting everything out there. I'm doing all the strategy. I'm doing everything, but I can't get past that. There's something within you that is not willing to face the wound that needs to be healed in order for you to get to that level, because there's something in your field, within your lineage, within your family, within your ancestral line, whatever it is, that is holding you into that frequency, that's holding you into that space of not being able to go past there. And until you face that and acknowledge what that is, you won't go past there. And then additionally, as I see this come up for people, because there'll be a lot of times that people will like almost step into working with me and then step back. And I've noticed that the reason why they do that is because they can see what's going to be required of them when they step into my world. And they're not ready to require that of themselves, because you need to be ready to require more of yourself to really step in to do this deeper work, because it's not easy at times, but the results are like the best thing you can ever imagine, right? But it's not easy, and you really need to require more of yourself in order to face these darker aspects of yourself that might be uncomfortable to face. But when you do that, that's when you hit that next level, right? That's when the 15K months start to come in. That's when the 20K months start to come in, because you continue to require more and more and more of yourself. And in order to really move through these deeper layers that come up at every turn, you have to start requiring more and more and more of yourself. And that's what it's really about. Okay, so I'm gonna stop talking for right now. I could probably talk for hours. So just a couple quick announcements. One, stay tuned for this program that I'm launching. It literally just dropped in, like, I'm not gonna say the name yet because it literally just dropped in like an hour ago. And I need to sit with it a bit, but I'm really excited about it. And that's for the person who wants to get a taste of my work, and the energetics of my work, and how to embody the energetics that I embody, to create what I create. And then the next thing is, I still have one space to work with me privately. This is a high level container for the woman who is really ready to require more of herself and really start to step into like these higher level, if you have a business, these higher level months, and also move through whatever's standing in the way of you and getting to that next level. So it's like, you know, you're ready for that next level, you're not sure why you're not there, and you're ready to link arms with some energy magicianal type stuff. So we so sorry, I just got distracted by the comment. I'm so excited to hear. I really feel I need this. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely some stuff around lineage for sure. So we could talk more about that. So yeah, so one spot left to work with me one-on-one. If you're really called to like start to understand how to work with your own energy, how to easily navigate trauma that comes up and really get to your next level. Again, the reason why I've moved so fast is because I have a high level of self awareness and I learned how to move through trauma really quickly. And that's what I will help you do. In this one on one container, you get access to both of my group programs, which is an amazing sacred community of women who are so incredibly powerful. I only attract very gifted and very amazing women. So it's an amazing community. Plus 6 months of one-on-one calls with me and Voxer. Plus you get access to all the tools that I create, which are unparalleled. I mean, my tools are amazing. Everyone gets such powerful results from them. My breath work and my meditations and all my journaling are, that's I think what gives people such momentum and why everyone gets such quick results, is because of these tools that I create, as long as you do them, right? And those will be yours for life. So reach out to me if you are interested in taking that spot. And I will be back next week. And also stay tuned for this other offering I'm going to be putting out there. I'll probably announce it in the next few days. So I'm sending you lots of love. Have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you soon.